Now in video 7, it's time to put the rubber to the road, take the training wheels off, and start using Twitter. We're going to read and reply to some tweets, and plus we're also going to cover, for those who care, a little bit about Twitter etiquette. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. Now let's go ahead and jump right on into it and log into our Twitter page. Go ahead and click on sign in. And looky. Now, if you recall, in our last video, we went to a couple of Gardener type individuals or tweeples, and we started clicking on some of the following links under their followers. And as a result, well, you can see what's happened overnight. It's actually about 12 hours ago. So you can see the methods that we used in our prior video. The methods that we used to acquire followers obviously worked. And that's just one thing you just rinse and repeat. You just keep that up and you're going to increase your marketing power immensely. We're not going to go much into that because what I want to do today is actually read some tweets and reply to some tweets and go over some other techniques in making your replying a lot easier, especially for those that, like myself, lack the imagination to be able to type 140 characters or less. Here's one thing I want to point out. First off, just read some of the tweets in here. Oh, let me see here. Let me see. Okay, well, you can see who's got a lot of tweets going. Well, let's just go ahead and see what we got here. Tweeps of the world, please consider donations to Special Olympics. Always a good cause. Naturally spun. Made a nice little goth treasury in honor of my new yarn. Well, that's good. And you can click on some of their links here. Let me see. Craig Tech. Hi, Craig. Have a laugh at this story about Stephen Fry's tweeting while stuck in a lift. And I'd imagine across the pond, a lift means elevator or escalator. It's been a while since I've been to England, so I forget. So let me see here. Let's see what they got to say. This is mad. I'm stuck in a lift. Stephen Fry twitters. Okay, it's an elevator. Yep, and he's got his phone camera. Darn those phone cameras. At least that's what Mark Phelps thinks. Ain't he the idiot? Okay, enough of that. So yeah, you can see technology is everywhere. Now let's go ahead and get on back here. And let's go ahead and reply to this one. Now I see right here, this was only posted 14 minutes ago. And how do you reply? No, and another thing too, this was from TweetDeck. That's one of the tools we are going to investigate in an upcoming video. You see, this one was just from the web, which is what we will be doing. Another one from TweetDeck. You can see a lot of the applications that are in use here today. All these are obviously going to be from TweetDeck, from web, from TweetDeck, from web. Let me see if I can find another one in here, because you can post from Twitter feed. Now this Twitter feed, this is one, and I'm not sure if this is the case with this particular tweet, but Twitter feed is one in which you can program or install or input several snippets or several tweets and schedule those tweets to be, spit out, for lack of a better word, on a timed basis. So, if you don't have the time, maybe once a week you'll throw in 30 particular little snippets of info, and you're off on your vacation while you are actually submitting these tweets. A lot can be said about that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and reply. Now, what you can do as far as replying to a particular tweet, over here on the far right, you've got this star. They're kind of grayed out. You got the star and you got this curved arrow. The curved arrow is a reply, and if you hover your mouse over it, it'll say reply to Craig Tech or Tech. Sorry about that if I'm butchering your name. And the star will put this in your favorites right over here. So let's go ahead and do this, and then hit reply. Now, one thing I need to mention too about typing in tweets, keep them short, to the point, naturally. And I'm going to cover some of our Twitter etiquette, or at least ways my own Twitter etiquette, in my humble opinion, here in just a few minutes. But I want to mention though that if you have some important information, or you're passing on a URL or a link to some quality information, try not to take up the entire 140 characters. Keep it short and simple, because it makes things a lot easier for some of your followers to what they call retweet. That's this RT, for example. And what happens with that is that kind of makes your post viral. You post it one time, and then because of the quality of that post, others that are following you will repost that or retweet that. And then folks that are following that follower maybe unbeknownst to you, you've never seen them and they've never known of you, they pick up on that and then they actually retweet it. I mean, there's no time limit on the number of retweets. I mean, it can just float around the Twitterverse forever if it's high quality. So, again, don't use up all the space if you don't have to, especially in those instances whenever you've got some quality information or URL, and especially if that URL is pointed to quality information on your blog. Keep that in mind. Okay, so we'll just now hit reply. You see, here we are. And it's possible that they might reply to this, may not, and in which case you will see it here. And you can also check here later. We hit replies. Sorry, we couldn't find anything matching. Okay, so there's nothing in our replies box just yet. Now, if we check out our direct messages, yep, it's just the one from Kevin from the other day. And it's got the date right down here. And you can send this to the garbage can if you want, or you can send Kevin a message. And here it shows all those that were sent. So far we haven't sent any, but that's going to change because I'm also, one of the other tools I'm going to show you here in an upcoming video is how we can automate some of this following business. And another reason behind us creating our own Google email account, because that's going to be tied into not just this one application I'm going to show you, but it can easily be tied into several applications, some of which I won't have time to show you. But speaking of Google Mail, I'm going to go ahead and click on Home, and then I'm going to check out that Google email box. Look at this. This is there's 36, which coincides pretty much with the number of followers that we acquired or that found us and started following us. And you can just go through here, and now you can read every one of these if you wish. Actually, they're all going to be the exact same thing. Just click on this one. Hi, John Doe. That's us. G Lance, it gives their name and their username is following your updates. And if we click on back here, we'll see that the next one says the same exact thing. This is just an autoresponder message from Twitter that pretty much everybody has. And you can opt out of that by clicking here. You can also opt out of that by clicking a link in our settings, I believe it is, but we'll leave it alone for now. Now, another thing too I want to show you before we get too wound up here is as far as plugging additional information, whether it's your own on your blog or from somewhere else. And ideally, more times than not, it will come across as better quality content if it is not referring to your own blog or to your own site. That would qualify as promotion, which again is not a bad thing. It's just that if you are found to be overly promoting yourself, then that can be deemed as a bad thing. So you will gain more followers, more long-term marketing juice, if you will, if you provide quality content, and quality content is better defined as being somebody else's information, not so much yours. So share the love, pass it around. Anywho, let's go to Google, and I typed in gardening, came up with this, and what we can do here is just go to blogs, and let's just see what we got going on the blog osphere in relation to gardening, again that being our niche. And let's see here. Okay, now of course they know that I'm in the Kansas City area, so that's why these are location sensitive. Gardening gives older adults benefits like hand strength and good for the arthritis. Birds and such, indoor gardening. Okay, let's keep this recent as possible. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, this will be a good example because, I mean, it's a good article. Okay, so this looks like good quality information. Now, sometimes there is where you can share the article on a social network, and they will have a Twitter button down here, in which case you just click on that, bing bang boom, good to go. It will automatically input a short URL or a shortened URL. In this case, well, there isn't, so no biggie, we will just make our own. Let me see, I'm just looking through here, and of course I might be missing it, and you could be pointing right at the computer screen saying, no, right there it is, silly. But anyway, what we're going to do is we will go up here. I'm going to right click and copy, and then I'm going to open up a new tab, go to tinyurl, and like I said, there's a lot of other ones out there, and some of which are even better because you can track the number of clicks, where the clicks came from. I'm going to cover that in another video coming up. Right click, paste. Click on make tiny URL. And for those of you that are not aware of tinyurl, this is what the link was. This is what the link now is. You click on this and it will take you to that same place that this link was. Now you can also, right down here, if it's available, and I'm going to see if it is, just type in gardening info. There we are. See if that is available. Yeah, it is. Okay, so now then, this even makes it more defined. There you go. Right click, copy, and then come on back here. Now then, this is going to be a general tweet. It's not going to be to any one person in response to anything, just information. Right click, paste. Now then, come on back here. Gardening gives older adults benefits. Copy, come back here. In front of that URL, right click, Control V as in Victor for pasting. Here's that for a little bit of a headline. Gardening gives older adults benefits. And then this is the URL to that, and we've got 70 characters left, so if somebody were to retweet this, they'd have plenty of room to do so. Now watch this. You see how that's a tiny URL? Sometimes it will change it, especially with the Power Twitter. Link to 403 forbidden. Okay. I don't know if that's such a good thing. Let me just click on that and see. No, that's cool. Okay. That was a bad example, obviously, because it should have said something like whatever this infozine is what it should have said. Infozine, something about infozine gardening gives older adults benefits like stronger hands or something. So that was a bad example. But anyway, you get the idea. Create a tiny URL, and this tells you right up here in kind of a light grayed out print the last tweet that you provided. And this shows who provided it here, that being us. And another thing too I wanted to mention, and I just used this as, well, because I didn't want to put my image in there for the sake of the video, but people will follow people more likely than people will follow inanimate objects. So if in your choice of adding a profile image, I would say that I would lean closer towards putting your own personal image in there, or a child's image, a person image, rather than an image of a pepper or your dog. Unless the pepper itself has that page, or your dog has his own Twitter page, and I'm going to cover that in an upcoming video as well. People will be more apt to follow people, so just keep that thought in mind. Just want to throw that out there too. That's pretty much it as far as creating, replying to, and reading tweets. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to my more formal self, and we're going to cover some Twitter etiquette, otherwise known as twetiquette. And here are some of my thoughts on Twitter etiquette, or twetiquette as they might call it. Watch your ratio. This is important. If you're following 2,000, followers, or people, tweeple as they also call them, and have only 2 followers, well, you're going to be looked at as a spammer, probably because you are a spammer. Now crawl back under your rock and leave Twitter forever. So keep that in mind. Another one is content is king on Twitter as well. Try and have at least a bit of value in your tweets. Now, if you are constantly tweeting, 1 or 2 word tweets like, oh really, or right on. Really, does anybody even still say right on? And, oh yeah, me too. Well, it might be better to have a direct message with that individual rather than just taking up precious tweet space. Another one to keep your eyes open for is space out your tweets. Try to avoid posting 20 tweets in a row. I mean, this is going to send mobile devices into a tizzy, and the SMS charges through the roof. So try to keep that to a minimum. And of course, the all-important, if drunk, don't tweet. A few choice mistaken tweets, and you'll be surprised just who actually reads your tweets. Your boss, your wife, well, soon to be ex-wife number 2, your girlfriend, your ex-wife. Now, to be fair and to give equal time, could also be your boyfriend, your husband, your husband's girlfriend, your boss. You get the idea. If you're inebriated, stay away from the computer. It's just safer that way. Size does matter. Try to stay within the 140 character limit for your tweets. Having to post, several times to complete your tweet makes it tough for your followers. I mean, they have to scroll through several pages just to read your entire tweet. And if they've got a whole lot of followers and they've got a whole lot of other tweets on those pages, so it could take them a long time to finish your entire tweet. And by the time they get to the end, they don't remember now what the beginning of it was. So again, try to think of your followers. If you have that much to say, make a blog post and post a tweet referencing your blog post. Hey, besides that, it'll draw traffic to your blog. Another one, do not over promote. Now, of course, you've probably heard me say this on every single video in this series, and you're probably tired of me saying it, but if I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't have said it at all. I realize this video series is on using Twitter for marketing needs, and I keep harping on the same item over and over again. Well, there is that thing about a little is okay, but a lot is not. Instead of a constant buy my soap tweet, how about this for an idea? Post on your blog the virtues of your new line of soap and then tweet a question like, oh, do you use bar or liquid soap? And include the URL to your blog post. Just an idea. Using automated message services. Now, some people are totally against the use of these types of services and will unfollow you in an instant. Now, it's not so much the service, in my opinion, as it is the message. If you have a message like, thanks for following me, check out my blog. Or, my favorite, thanks for following me, I sell herbal remedies. Here's my web address. Well, you'll most likely lose followers left and right. Your auto message should be more about, I'd say, your follower, not you. If your niche, for example, and Twitter page is about gardening, such as ours, then a message like, hey, thanks for the follow. Do you use container for gardening? Or I prefer raised beds myself. Something like that will be much better received. And again, it's more of a conversation starter as well. You'd be surprised what kind of response you get. Now, since I have a rather thick skin and I'm not easily offended, there are probably a whole lot more Twitter etiquette tips that I've left out, unintentionally, of course. The main thing to keep in mind here is that if you are offended by someone's twactions, you have the power to unfollow them. So click it and forget it. Move on and have a nice day. This will bring us to the end of this video. Thank you much for watching.